Hi, Dabney.
Hi.
Okay, we are in I'm actually not going to, we're in week 2 of the 30-day technology blackout, but for some families, it's week 1. And
Yeah.
so what I've discovered about this pilot program that we're doing here in Fort Worth is that we are really taking these 30 days to get familiar with some of the concepts
Mm,
that are going to make a technology blackout really beneficial for not only our children, but for ourselves and for our families and actually community.
yeah.
So we're going to be giving out some more information as we move forward. But today I wanted to talk about the role of our diet. Because
Mm,
as we're going through and we're decreasing stimulation
mhm.
from a lot of our external devices, from screens, technology, we're also going to need to address what we're putting into our bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because one thing that I have noticed is that we can we can do great therapy, we can do great workouts, right? But if we go home and we begin to feed our bodies things that are going to not be beneficial,
Yeah.
it's basically taking the work we're doing and it's not allowing that work to do the fullest growth and healing that it could do. So can you just walk me through, because I know this can actually be complex.
Yes.
This is actually going to, right. And this is actually going to be a series.
Yeah.
But I want to start off with the concept of sugar.
Yeah.
And if you could just speak to us as to what we need to begin to wrap our heads around in terms of the role sugar has in our diet.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a difference between added sugar and then fruit sugar. So I want to make that very clear. When we're talking about sugar, we're definitely talking more specifically about this added sugar to process foods and things along those lines. So we're talking more about this added sugar. So the role of sugar, it spikes your blood sugar. So with a spike in blood sugar, you're causing a stress on the body. And that stress on the body is causing this same thing as what we're talking about when it comes to the stress that technology after technology does. So it's a stress response, which therefore causes inflammation and it causes other systems within the body to not work properly. So there's an overabundance of insulin released from the pancreas, so causing stress on the pancreas. It's causing an elevated heart rate, causing inflammation again in the brain as well as throughout the whole body. And so there's behavior associated with that. So we have, it's causing a lot of the same issues that we're talking about when it comes to causing this inflammation throughout the system and this over amount of stress that we're putting ourselves under.
Right. And the amount of stress we're talking, and that's what we're doing in these 30 days, right? It's like we're treating this as if it's an elimination diet, honestly. We're taking as much stimulation from the environment and controlling for that by removing and then seeing where the baseline of our brain and our body and our nervous systems are. So that way we begin to make a more intentional, once we begin to act, because we know we live in a world where we need technology. It's an incredible benefit. But what we want to do is we want to have an intentional, mindful relationship with technology in a way where we still have what I call our sense of agency.
Yeah.
And I think that sugar is the same thing. And you've taught me so well and taught me so well in terms of it's about a good balance. You don't want an abundance of blood sugar, and you also don't want to go too low, because a lot of times when we see spikes in behavior or in dysregulation, it's like during transitions and then after school. And you brought up something so well after the after school kind of component that nutrition can play. And so give us a tidbit about that. I think that would be so beneficial.
Yes. And then I want to go back really quick because I do have one other thing that you just brought up that I think was important just to say, but with after school, so the other process is, parents are so concerned about what not to feed their children. And so the big thing is kids still need to eat. It's just that they need to eat the right things most often. So we use a rule called the sometimes rule in our house and I teach this in my CrossFit Kids classes too, where we establish as a family what does sometimes mean in our house? And then how often can we have sometimes per week? And we all stick with that rule. And it's really, really beneficial for us and to have those open conversations with our kids and get them involved in that. So that's one thing to say, like you just mentioned, like it's not that we're never going to have sugar. I mean, we're going to have celebrations. There's going to be special occasions. for that, it just should not be constantly in our system and introduced into our system. And, it's hidden everywhere. It's in a lot of things. So finding the right snacks and things. So yes, that brings us to the after school. I mean, we find kids get in the car and they are tired, one, but then two, they're so hungry and their blood sugar is low. And so we want to fuel them. We want to keep a good blood sugar balance. So we don't want this yo-yo blood sugar. We don't want highs with high sugar foods, high carbs, and we don't want these lows where they're going too long without eating as well. So it's finding that perfect blood sugar balance that's going to help with, again, decreasing the stress on our body. So we're not having these different stress hormones that are released within our system from stress. So therefore we decrease inflammation. And then ultimately we're seeing this perfect world of behavior getting better, sleep getting better, activity level, energy level, all of those things once we create this balance of blood sugar. Again, not having highs and not having lows.
I think that is, you just hit on a key aspect of this process, especially when nutrition is because nutrition in Kids Braintree is a pivotal, and it's one of those that's a foundational program. And bottom line is what I say is that any kind of overstimulation within the brain, the body, or the nervous system is going to produce a form of dysregulation.
Yes.
And what we know is that what it looks like in terms of our children's lives is that it's decreases cognitive functioning, decreases attention, and then we have slower memory.
Yeah.
And I think what we're talking about is so important. And so this is talk one. And I think the next talk we're going to go into is to talk about what balance looks like. Yeah. And to also begin to talk about the role of the HPA axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals, because whatever stage or whatever program you're engaged with, whether it's in Kids Braintree or any other kind of therapy, it's the first phase is bringing in that sense of regulation. Yes. And regulation is really, it's not an emotional component. It's not even a cognitive component. It is a physiology and a biology. It's the state of your physiology and biology. And we're going to talk more about that and why that's so essential in understanding that. So I look forward to this. Yay.
Thank you. Me too. Thank you so much.
Yeah.